Welcome to Tell Us Why, a podcast for the financial freedom community. If you're looking to succeed in your quest for financial freedom, make sure you join us every week as we, along with our guests, discuss different stories of success, how they were achieved, and how you can do the same. And of course, we ask them to tell us why. Here are your hosts, Jack and Mike.
Welcome to the Tell Us Why podcast. I'm your host, Jack Darable, here alongside my co-host, Mr. Michael Ketchen. Today we will be speaking with Gordon Thornton. Gordon is the owner of 603 Properties and started his real estate journey in 2002 with many failures along the way, which we touch on, until he committed to the life that he wanted to create. Wow.
Every week. It's every week.
Wow.
So
it is every week.
basically, to tell the listeners, it's a great episode. He brings almost as much energy as Jack just did to that welcome intro to this. He does also read his quote, unlike Jack butchers his. So Jack is back, everyone. But seriously, one of my favorite entrepreneurs, one of my favorite guests we've had on so far. I don't know, what were your thoughts on the episode as a whole?
Well, I mean, I think it's the first guest we've had that legitimately declared bankruptcy and is now hashtag betting on himself and succeeding. Like, he's doing 14 projects right now. He wants to do 14 projects currently right now. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, I tell you how. A lot of hard work, a lot of betting on yourself, a lot of all the stuff we encapsulate and talk about and build in this community. And yeah, there's a lot of gems sprinkled throughout. It's a very entertaining episode. Make sure you listen all the way through because there's some gems at the end.
Full disclosure, Gordon's a lot like Mike, so
What's wrong with that? I think the world needs more Michael Ketchen, don't you? So before we get kicked off the air completely, should we hear this week's episode is brought to you by?
Let's do it.
Are you sick of being treated like just another number by large insurance companies? Do you want a more personalized experience with somebody that you can trust? With Keith Monteith, that's exactly what you'll get. Keith is an experienced professional who can design an insurance plan tailored to fit your specific needs. With access to over 30 insurance carriers, Keith is able to shop numerous markets to find a price that works for you. So if you want an insurance agent that you can rely on and one that has your best interests at heart, then call or text Keith today on 978-241-2363. That's 978-241-2363. Keith Monty. He'll get you covered.
Okay, so like we said in the intro, Gordon started his real estate journey in 2002, turned full-time in 2018, and hasn't looked back. Specialized in flips, 28 buildings last year, and on track to double that number this year. So Gordon, welcome to the Tell Us Why podcast.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
You know, Jack, the first thing I'm going to say is it's nice to have another one in the ball club.
I know. I feel left out here. Should I shave my head for this episode? Why didn't you guys tell me?
Well, you got to shave your head, and then you do 28 flips in a year. Like, that's what happens. Like, Gordon,
that's the power move then. Just shave the head, and then all the deals start coming. You just take off after that.
You can't stop them, right?
Aerodynamics, I get it.
Love
Science, physics.
So, Gordon, we like to ask every guest, and this is going to be just over the top insane because, you know, everybody, when you're a real estate investor, what's the first thing everyone starts with? Oh, I'm going to flip a house, HGTV,
right?
You know, all that stuff. I know I was the same way like everybody else. So where are you at in the business today? Because as Jack said in the intro, 28 flips. What's going on with 603 Properties? Everything you got cooking. Where are you guys at today?
Yeah, so today we actually got 14 fix and flip projects going on right now, right? Just so far this year. So we set a target to do 100.
So wait, you have 14 going on right now?
We got 14 going on there in one phase, right? So it's either that it's already under contract to be sold, under contract to be bought, already bought and in the process of being turned over, whatever it would be. But we got 14 of them going on right now. So, you know, and honestly, the more that we've got, the simpler things have gotten for us, right? Because like processes have just become that much easier for us. We made so many mistakes before, and there's always a surprise that comes up, as you know, right? But like, it's really just a numbers game. And once you can do 1, 2, 3, it's like no different than doing, 14 is no different than doing 3 at a time. There really is no difference. It's just really all right here on what you're thinking of and what you think you can handle.
And we're going to jump around a little bit more on that, because what I think is important for people who are hearing this episode, one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you, is let's already go a little deeper on what you just said right there. Because I mean, Jack, you've turned apartments at this point. I've done a couple of flips. I've turned a couple of apartments. God bless Gordon for making it sound that easy.
Yeah.
Talk about the systems, the processes, and just
exactly what I wrote.
Knowing
Systems
where to
to manage 14 question mark.
your day, like get a little into that, because you said there was some mistakes along the way. So
Yeah.
you said something that I really want people to hear, where it was 1 to 2 is no different than 14. What did you mean by that?
I mean, so really, it's once you know how to dial everything in, like it just becomes that much simpler. Like it really is, like this business is simple. It's not easy, right? That's the whole. And there's a big difference between simple and easy. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks it's easy, but let me tell you, it's not. But the thing is, we also try to over freaking complicate everything in our lives too. We're humans, right? So we're really good at how to freaking be stuck in these heads of ours and like completely fuck everything up. Right? I apologize if I'm not allowed to swear, but whatever.
Yeah,
Deal with
it. I think you'll be all right.
All right, good. Then I'm in a safe space. I can use it. Good. But you know, so what I mean by that, like systems, it's like once you have it now, it's like you get the checklist, right? So it's like, okay, we got something under contract. What's the next step, right? Okay, it's going over to the title company, right? We're opening escrow, right? We're making sure that everything's going through fine. We have to then make sure that all the utilities are getting swapped over. Lock boxes need to be swapped in, whatever it would be, right? Just all these simple things that get missed. Insurance has to be up to date. All these little things that are just like time consuming can be missed in the beginning, that can hold up things. Permits have to be filed right away. Like get the permits out there. Dumpsters. What are your long lead time items that you have to order, right? Like right now in 2022, we have, supply issues, correct? I mean, I know we all do have these, right? So it's just breaking that down. And it's as simple as having a checklist, a Google Doc list or something, and just going right down. The other thing is you have to have a team around you that knows and can anticipate what's going on and what needs to be done, right? Like I have a great project manager now. It's taken me about 6 to 7 months to get him trained up to where I know that he can handle everything now. Like right now, that's what he's out there doing. He's out there bombing around while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff's still getting done, right? So it's beautiful. People are out there. I got acquisitions people making calls right now, trying to find our next deal, right? So it's like I needed to create myself as a CEO, right? I used to be like, I have to have my hands in everything and I have to do everything. And now I'm just like, nope, my best thing that I can do is get myself out of the way. Don't become the bottleneck of the operation, and let the people that I've hired do their job. And once I've decided and once I took that step, things have just like exploded and just been great.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that again, because again, we talk about all the time, don't jump over a dollar to pick up a quarter, mm-hmm. And we see it all the time in this business. So what I'd like to know selfishly, and then I don't want to take all the time. I know Jack's probably got 1,000 questions. What finally allowed you though, because that's something we all struggle with, right? Scale. What finally allowed you to say, I have to take a step back and give up some of that control?
Honestly, it just came down to I was miserable. That's really all it came down to. I was miserable. I was having to deal with all the phone calls. I was sick. I was sick and tired of it. I wasn't sleeping. I'd be like staring up at the sky, at the ceiling while I had my head on the pillow. And my wife was like, you got to do something about this, because and the thing was like, I had created that in my life. Like I take full ownership of everything in my life without a doubt. I'm a big, huge personal responsibility person. Like I create every goddamn thing I want in my life. Right. Yep. And if it's a problem, and then I created that problem, how the hell am I going to fix this problem? So it's like, then when you start looking at it that way, then you're like, all right, what can I do to fix this? And I just noticed that I was the bottleneck. I was like, I'm the problem. Everybody's coming to me for the answers. And it's like, that's why I haven't empowered these people to just be like, hey, I trust you. Go ahead, make a mistake. You know what? I make a mistake all the time, every day anyways. So I don't expect you to be perfect either. And it's if it's under $500, a decision needs to be made, and it's under $500, do it. If it's over 500, let me know, just so I can okay it. But and that figure's actually even gone up higher now because like just the cost of everything's just stupid. So it's like, but if it's a small decision, just go ahead and do it. Don't even bother me with it. Tell me about it later. Make sure you send the invoice over to bookkeeping so they can track all the expenses, and then we're done. Like that's all I care about. I don't even want to be bothered with this bullshit. That's it.
I love it.
That's where I'm at.
Well, let me kick it back for a minute. So how did you get started back in 2002? How did this all, how did we get here?
Oh man. So,
so
I was, back in the beginning, like, so I was a chef actually. And I was in the restaurant business and I was getting burnt out from it all. And I saw an infomercial, right? That's where I started, infomercial. Russ Whitney. You guys ever hear of Russ Whitney before? Millionaire You. So in 2020, he was like one of those guys. He's like it was like Carlton Sheets, and it was Russ Whitney, and now it's like Fortune Builders, all those commercials that you see. So he was that like guy that was in there. And I saw the thing, went to the free seminar down in like Waltham, Mass or something like that. And signed up for the event, the 3-day event, got the free day, then did the 3-day event, and they upsold me to this, upsold me to that, and boom, here I am 75K into it. And I'm like, okay, 75K into it, and I haven't done a goddamn thing yet. What the hell just happened to me? Right. So that's how I started. But what that did, like, honestly, though, like, I don't care about losing that money. I never lost that money. Like, people would say, wow, you spent all this money on this, and you never got anything out of it. What I learned from that was just invaluable. It completely like stretched my mind. It was like that whole thing with the elastic. Once you like, extend that thing out, you can never go back to its perfect shape form again. So I was just like, it just opened my mind into a whole different world. And that's when I first, I got my real estate license. I was like, I'm all in. I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm going to start selling real estate. And what ended up happening was I didn't invest. I ended up just like getting bogged down in the retail real estate side of stuff. Quite frankly, I just suck at it. I'm not good at it as a real estate agent. Like that's what it is. Like I have my license still to this day, but like I tell everybody nowadays, like my goal for this year is to absolutely do 0 transactions as a real estate agent. I have no desire to do it. And that's the first year I can actually say that. I've just decided, like, again, this is me looking at it and being like, I'd much rather pay somebody to sell my property for me, right? So that I can do what I'm good at. And that's out there finding deals, connecting, networking with people, raising money, and doing all that stuff. Like, that's what I'm good at. I used to be like, oh, I need to sell this place so I can get the extra 2% commission on the back end side and all this stuff. And now I'm like, it's such a waste of time. So that's why I just stopped. So that's where I started. And then, I ended up just falling on my face, was not successful at all on it. And then I ended up meeting this guy named Kevin Lacasse. I don't know if any of you guys know him or not. I met him at like this New Hampshire RIA meetup. And he's a big time player up in the New Hampshire area. He owns a ton of mobile home parks, a lot of big multi-family units, things like that. And he kind of took me under his wing and just showed me the ropes of how to fix and flip a property. And this was like in 2009, in 2009, 2010. Of course, that was probably the worst time ever to get back into real estate because it was like, everything just shit the bed. And it crushed me. It crushed me. Like I had to file bankruptcy. I got foreclosed on my own home. I lost everything. It was me, my wife, and I had an 18-month-old son at the time, and like just completely bankrupted me, literally bankrupted me. And just, I had to reset at that point in time. I had nothing. Right. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I actually ended up taking a job installing DirecTV dishes for $10 an hour at that time in 2010, 2011. I ended up, a friend of mine, his name is Dan, took pity on me and rented he had a duplex in Hudson, New Hampshire, and let me rent on one of the sides out and everything. And it was a crazy time. But, so I went up and I did that. And then I ended up working my way up inside that business. And then I got offered a job as a project management company in construction, building laboratories and at all like the universities in Cambridge and pharmaceutical companies down there. And I really got into the whole construction property management side of things and started to really cut my teeth in that field at that time.
So can we jump in 1 second there? Because there's a gem in there, Gordon, before we go on, because the story is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because I'm a big believer in adversity builds character. how much do you think going through that experience translates to us sitting here talking to you today? I know it was painful in the moment, but you're a very fiery guy. You're a great guy to be around. You got unbelievable energy, total accountability. When you look back on that now, a decade removed, because you're a rock star, you owe it to yourself. You've bet on yourself. You're everything we encapsulate would tell us why. Do you feel like that really fuels your fire to get after it? Or how, when you look back on it now, where you're at now, talk about that a little bit, because that's really open. That's really out there. And I'm really curious how much that experience molded you.
Oh my God. And so I'm a huge believer that everything happens in your life for a reason. Like I am sold on it 100,000%. Everything that happened to me in my life happened for a reason, right? All that pain, all that struggle, there's a lesson that was in there that made me the person that I am today, right? Like you have to struggle. It's part of life. Like nobody's going to get out of this world without struggling. Like it's just impossible, right? So it's like, it absolutely molded me. It also showed me that I have a fantastic wife and a fantastic woman by my side that will stand by me no matter what, which means the world to me. Like, when you know that a woman really loves you is when you absolutely have nothing at all and she still stands by you, trust me, right? And so it was just like, it's one of those things that just empowers you, and it's experience, right? There's for some reason, there's like this thing out there nowadays where it's like, there's like people not putting any weight into experience. And I'm like, experience is everything. You can read a textbook all you freaking want, but let me tell you something. You don't know how to run a business until you have to actually come up with payroll.
Yes.
Start coming up with payroll and then tell me what running a business is all about.
Yeah.
Like that's
surprise expenses do happen.
Yeah. All the time. So yeah, so it's just one of those things where, yeah, I mean, I'm blessed to have gone through that experience. That's how I look at that now. Like I'm bulletproof from it now. Really.
That was great. And I didn't want that to pass by without going back to it, because I had never heard that. And I know Gordon a little bit. It actually, man, if people can see where you are now, to know that went through, because I mean, you are you are very, very good at what you do. One of the best I know. And that was great. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are like obsessed with failure in some way, shape, or form. Like if they try something and they don't succeed, then it's over, it's done, and that's it.
Yep.
Right.
And I feel like, I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. Like if you fail, like, we always talk about leaving the job. Oh, Johnny DeVito, when he was about to leave, just left his job, you leave and fail, you can always go back to the job that you always had. But touching on that, so how do you go? Did you say 2011 you were bankrupt and then decided to go full time in 2018? How did you get from 2011 to 2018?
Yeah, I mean, so I ended up working in the corporate world at that point in time. I was just in the corporate world. I said, okay, listen, I got to pick up the pieces here. I had to reestablish my credit. I had to get a home for my family again. Like I had to rebuild everything. It was painful. I found a niche that I was good in. I found a great company and a great boss to work for. He was very entrepreneurial based. I learned it. Like, this is one of those things where it's like I learned so much about business and how to run a business from him as well, where it's like, I look back at it, I'm like, I was supposed to fail back there because I was supposed to go work for this guy, Mike, because Mike took me by the hands and he showed me what it was like to run a business and how to build a company, and it's an amazing thing. And to jump on what you guys said there, like people always think that life is supposed to like run linear, right? Like it runs like this, like fuck that shit, dude. It's like, boom, back up, boom, back up. Like, I mean, it's all that all the time. Every single week I feel that whole thing, right? It's like, Jesus Christ, give me a break. So yeah, it's just but yeah, so then I built it up in 18. At that point in time, my son was getting older. I was living in Manchester, New Hampshire. I still do. And, I was driving down to Cambridge, Mass early in the morning. I'd be leaving my house at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't getting home till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I wasn't really seeing my family. I was miserable. I really was. I was just sick and tired of it. I literally had thoughts of killing myself. Like, I just was done. I literally had thoughts of just like ending it and being like, this, I don't want my life to be this way anymore. And I won't get into all that. That's for another episode sometime. But
we'll be back on after 100.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
But so there. Then after that, I said, and God willing, my wife, I said, babe, I'm going back into real estate. This is my passion. This is what I love. And she looked at me and she was like, all right, you can do this, but you have 90 days. And if you don't make this happen in 90 days, then you're going to go get your old job back. And I said, absolutely, no problem. And it took like 3 weeks before I got my first deal, my first contract, and then I was just off and running from there. It just took off from there.
That's awesome.
So
that is the fucking definition of bet on yourself.
Bet
Go
on
back
yourself.
and listen to that. I got some goosebumps right now.
Absolutely. Bet
that
on
is
yourself,
fucking
man.
awesome. That is Gordon.
do it.
Thank you for sharing that. And that's a perfect transition into, the show is Tell Us Why. We know that motivation. We talk about as entrepreneurs. It ain't about money. You've probably cashed checks that back in 2011 you never thought you'd even see. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's not what you do this for. This is not why you go and do the crazy shit of doing 14 flips all at once. What is that why? What is that motivation that makes you fall down and pick yourself back up and share that with the listeners, if you won't mind, to show how you can have that iron mind to get through all of this?
So I always the why question is always funny to me, right? Because my why personally is always shifting, right? So it's like, I stopped making like these 1 to 2 to 5 year targets that people always talk about. I can't, because I don't trust it, and I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure in that way, right? But it's like, so I break it down in just 90 days, like 90 days here, 90 days here, 90 days here. Like, that's all I can do. And even then I still screw the whole freaking thing up along the way, without a doubt. Because I see, it's like, I'm like that one that like sees the shiny object. I'm like, ooh, let's go check that thing out. And I have to reel myself back in. Right. But but I think everybody's why really comes down to one thing, man. And that is love. Because that's really all any of us is looking for, is love. And it's like, it's love of ourselves, it's love of others, whatever it would be. But that's really all that it is. Like, people come up and they say, I want to make more money, I want to do this. Well, what does more money get you really? Or what's it do? It gives you more time. Okay, well, what are you going to do with that time? What do you really want to do? Right. And whatever your love is, whatever your passion is, it really comes down to that one thing. If you break someone else's why down to the minute detail, it always comes back down to that. And, I just feel like my number one goal is to just get a little bit better every single day. That's it. Get a little bit better every single day. And you know what? Sometimes I fail at it miserably. And that's okay. I'm not going to get better every single day, but I am going to put an effort up every single day. I'm going to try to get a little bit better. And then those things start stacking up really quick, right? It's like, you never try and hit a home run. Hit a single, hit another single, hit another single. And then every once in a while you hit a grand slam, right? You hit a single, hit a grand slam. And that's all that it comes down to.
That is so good. That is so good. I don't know, Jack, I'm ready to run through a wall right now.
I know.
I think a lot.
They're thinking, I'm like, I need to step it up just 1% better every day.
1% better every day. Man. You guys all know. We all know this stuff.
Yeah, that process over results, right? Like we talk about all the time, systems, that process over results, and that 1% compounds. And man, if we're going to be honest for a second, to cut all the bullshit, so many people talk about that. Gordon actually lives it. I know Gordon outside of the podcast. He's one of these people. One of the reasons I wanted to bring him on is it's so easy to just have hot air, right? And we talked about this the other night over some cigars. You'll get that guy who'll call you all jazzed up. Hey, can we grab a coffee? Can I pick your brain? I want to go hang out with Jack Dalrymple. 1124 Properties, the big deal that he is.
Oh yeah.
And Jack will take that time and he'll share his resources and his knowledge. And Jack's actually more excited than the person who's there. They get all jazzed up for a day, and then after a day they fade, right? And then you ask them, and they're on Instagram, and they got the memes going, and they got all the quotes and all this other bullshit, but then they won't invest in themselves. And then 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by, and because you were already thinking it had to end on day one, you didn't see those little 1% gains that would have compounded. Okay? Mm-hmm. We're talking a decade ago. The man just shared his life story. A decade ago, he was at his lowest. Now he is on top of his profession, and he's looking to grow, which leads to, where are you going next, brother? Where are we gonna break some news here on the pod? Where are we going next?
Oh boy. Yeah,
I want to get you in trouble, but
yeah, I'm not letting you get me in trouble yet. Not gonna let you. But I mean, that's the thing too, is that like I feel like I've just begun. Like all I've done is built a new foundation, and I'm still building the house. You know what I mean? Like that's just where I'm at. And so and that's the exciting part, is that every day I wake up and I'm like, all right, cool. What's going to happen today? What awesome thing is going to happen in my life today? And that's the difference mind shift that I came up with, was that I just come from gratitude. I'm just grateful for everything I have. And I just want to my biggest goal that I can do now is help. I try to help as many people as I possibly can. Like that's really what I want to do, and that's what really sets me on fire these days. Is helping people get over those like self-limiting beliefs that they have. Because I like you had mentioned, like, you 5 years passed and nothing happened. I was that guy. Like I absolutely was that guy. I didn't do it until something just clicked in me, and I was like, okay, listen, enough with the bullshit. Either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? And the worst can happen is that you just go. I can always go back and get a job. Like if I lose everything again, okay, so what? I'll go get a fucking job, right? Like no big deal. The hell, I'll start all over again. I don't care that I'm 45. I'll do it all over again.
That's the difference between earning it and being given it, in my opinion. Yeah. You've earned it, so you know you can earn it again. They don't take your skills. They don't take your experiences. I say it all the time. Go back to zero, but keep your knowledge, keep your skills, bet on yourself, and that mindset is so invaluable. So I just thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Just one thing I wanted to touch on. It's funny how often, and I'm saying this as a casual observer of the Tell Us Why podcast, people talking about how when they just add value. You just said something, and I wrote down givers get. Like people that give are off. Like on this podcast, we keep seeing it again and again and again, and that should actually probably be in our 50th episode when we do the summary recap. But it's not, because we're recording that next. Sorry.
All good.
But like the people that give are always the most successful people, and they're always adding value. They're selfless in some ways, and it's just something that I wanted to throw out there for my own sanity, but just wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, so true. So Jack, in the biz, they call that a professional transition, because now I want Gordon to give one book or resource that Tell Us Why community. We ask every guest every week, what is a book or resource you'd share?
Well, I got two of them, because now I had one before, and now I'm going to give two because of the one that you just said, and that is absolutely have you ever read Go Giver? Have you ever read that one?
No, I've never heard of that one.
Never even heard of it.
Go Giver. There you go. That's an awesome book right there. I forget who wrote it. You guys can Google it and add the show notes, whatever you guys do with that. But the Go Giver, even the audio book, it's short, it's sweet. It's a great little story about just giving more. And what happens when you actually just go out there and provide value, right? It's an amazing thing that happens.
Bob Berg and John David Mann.
You got it. Yep. Go Giver. Awesome book. I pretty much, I read that one about every month, every year. I read that one at least once, and it's just a great reminder.
Go Giver.
And the other one that I would say though, which has been really transformational is, and you probably have heard of Andy Frisella, right? You know Andy Frisella?
Oh yeah.
You know him, right? Sometimes he goes a little crazy on the deep end with some stuff. And
I love him.
Go be you, man. Go be you. Absolutely. Yeah, you and me get him. Absolutely. But
producer Jake is offended. Okay.
Then he's doing right. He's doing something right. So the 75 Hard program is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable program about just doing the little things 1% every single day and compounding on them every single day, right? Like, that's a great book. It's a great podcast. I read that book a couple summers ago, and it really taught me how to do stuff even when I don't feel like doing it. Because we all have those days where we don't feel like doing it, and we have to do it anyways. And a lot of people think it's like a body challenge of some sort. And I'm telling you, it is. My body completely transformed. It was body, but what happened here was way more than what happened here, right? Like this is just the package, right? But this right here is just something that I will never be taken from me. The lessons that I learned by doing that for 75 straight days and just being laser focused.
Yeah. So the book, is it called 75 Hard, the book?
Yep. It's 75 Hard, the book. Absolutely. I tell everybody to do it, and they're like, so much resistance to it. And I'm like, that's cool. Everyone's like, I don't want to do 2 workouts a day. That's crazy. My 2 workouts a day, once you get dialed in, like it can be any workout that it is, right? Like, and Mike, you had mentioned earlier, like I love yoga too. Like yoga is a great freaking workout, especially for someone that's my age now, right? Like I don't need to be like always pounding weights all the time, right? Walking, I love walking. I put on a weighted vest or something like that, do that. Right now I do it every single morning and afternoon. I go on a 45-minute walk every single morning and afternoon. In the morning, it's by myself with my dog. In the afternoons, it's with my wife. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm going to touch on that real quick, because actually it's something we've never talked about on the podcast before. I don't think we have. And it's interesting because I think Jack's getting to that point in his business. I'm at that point in my business, and you're there. And, you know, when you think all day, people don't realize, like, we are making decisions round the clock, 24/7. Like, as soon as we get off of this recording, I've had 6 missed calls sitting here. Sure. Apparently, I probably have a building on fire. I don't know what's happening. But, you know, I was on the phone with security at one of them last night till midnight because it elevated up the threat enough we had to do it. Me and Gordon having cigars in, he's getting calls, we're doing this. Yeah. And we are very systemized, organized people. But when you are a decision maker, you need to exercise your brain and your thought process just as much as your body. And I'll leave you with this. I just finished, I'm going to go on a limb, man. I'm going to say my favorite book of all time, which I can't believe I will. I just finished Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. And if David Goggins can do fucking yoga, I don't ever want to hear from anybody that they can't do yoga. Okay, so that's the end of the yoga discussion. Which is awesome. All right, Jack, we ready to put Gordon in the hot seat? Because we'll keep talking all day, man. I'll keep him here all day.
We'll go.
Yeah, we'll move on to the big 3 after our order from our sponsor.
It's now time for the Big 3 segment, brought to you by QS Private Lending. Are you looking to finance your next deal quickly and reliably with less hassle and paperwork? QS Private Lending is one of the oldest and largest hard money lenders to real estate investors in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Our quick and simple short-term loans require no appraisals and have enabled hundreds of builders and investors to profitably acquire and renovate thousands of residential and commercial properties. To experience the QS difference for yourself, call or text Luke Conroy today at 315-323-0250. That's 315-323-0250. QS Private Lending.
So now it is time for the big 3. These are the 3 questions we ask every guest every week, and I will kick it off with the college question. So, Gordon, in your opinion, is college worth it?
It is very funny you're asking me this question because I actually just got a bumper sticker right behind me the other day that says right here, never
I didn't even notice that.
College. Right there. Right there.
Never went to college.
Never went to college. Okay. So I think it's a great thing if that's what you want to do. No problems, right? Okay. No problems at all. My big thing though is that I used to think bad about myself because I never went to college. I had this whole thing. I was a stupid bastard because I didn't go to school. I didn't do whatever all my other friends did. And honestly, I thought that it was holding me back for a long time. And I let it hold me back for a long time. And then I realized that, and then I just owned it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm so glad I never went to college because I got all these other skills that I developed in that whole entire time frame. So I think that anybody wants to go to college, you go right ahead. Go right ahead and do it. No big deal to me. But I don't think it's necessary at all. I think right now what's really necessary is that we need to have more tradespeople. We need more carpenters out there. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more plumbers. We need more HVAC people. Those are the trades that we need, and those people are making a lot more money than someone that's going out there and getting a liberal arts degree right now. I can tell you that's for damn sure.
And not $400,000 in debt.
And not $400,000 in debt, without a doubt. No, it's funny you ask that question.
Did you know that was coming? Because that was like perfect. That was amazing.
Honestly, I only knew it because you guys, because I was reviewing the questions that you had sent to me earlier, and then I was like, that's too funny because I'm gonna have this freaking thing.
Yeah, I mean that is so good. that was perfect. That's God. We could end it on that. All right, Gordon. Next question. What is one thing you go back and say to your 18-year-old self?
So when I was 18 years old, I would have told myself that I should have went to the Marine Corps. So when I was 18 years old, I had signed up to go to the Marines, and I ended up chickening out. I ended up chickening out. I was at the MEPS building the day before I was supposed to leave for Parris Island when I was 18 years old. And I ended up I was so scared and I was so afraid of going that I just chickened out of the whole entire thing. And what I didn't realize then was how big of an impact that would actually have on my life for the next 15 or so years. Where something happened inside of me that day that I let my parents down greatly on that one. I came home, they kicked me out of the house. My father didn't want to see me, all this stuff. And so I ended up, it really scarred me more deeper than I ever thought. And I just thought I was worthless for many years. I ended up getting into a very big, I was alcohol and drug dependency as well during my early 20s. I mean, most 20-year-olds, let's be serious. I mean, who the hell doesn't drink all the time when you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
But, I was doing a lot of bad other things at that time. And so, it had a profound effect on me without a doubt. Thankfully, I met my wife when I was young. I got married when I was 25. I met her when I was 23. And, she kind of took care of me and kind of set me straight on that one. But if I tell my 18-year-old self again, I would say, go do it. Make sure you go to the Marine Corps, go do it. Because it's gonna help you out along the way.
That's
what I would do.
That's total owning it. Great answer.
Yeah.
Oh God, Jack, he just set the bar high. So let's see how he answers the hard one.
Yeah. All right. So the other end of the spectrum, 90-year-old question. What is one thing you would want your 90-year-old self to say to you?
Thank you. Simple. Thank you.
That is simple, but so good.
Thank you. That's it, man. That's all I wanted to say to me. What I've heard, I read this a couple weeks ago, and it really hit me. And I'm going to butcher it because that's what I usually do when I read things and quotes and stuff. But it's something along the lines of like,
can't relate.
It's something along exactly right. It's something like what's the definition of like a definition of hell is when you die, you see what you could have been.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what is it? The version of yourself that you could have been. You meet the version of yourself.
You meet the version of yourself you could have been.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And I read that one and I was like, oh, I ain't fucking. That version. That guy's gonna be like, thank you. He's gonna say thank you for doing it. And that's what I wanted to say. And I know he's gonna say it. It's all good.
I friggin' love it, Gordon. Where can people get in touch with you? Where can they learn more about you?
I'm the best thing to do is on social media, really. Like you can follow me on Instagram, IG. It's just Gordon, GORDON _ Thornton, THORNTON number 24. 24 is my number too. I see that you got that one, 1124 over the top there. So that's right. 24 is a special number to me as well, brother. So I got that one. And then I'm on Facebook as Gordon Thornton, without a doubt. We've started a Facebook group, REI Ignition, that we are doing, and we're helping new and intermediate investors really learn and get out of their own way and start closing more deals, helping them talk with sellers, how to market, get systems in place. So we do coaching calls every Wednesday on there that we're doing with people. And that's really been a huge thing that I've just started to do and that I'm really starting to love and just help people out. Absolutely. And I like to punch people in the face too, just verbally, mentally, not physically. Like some of the stories I get, I'm just like, shut the fuck up and just go do it. Enough talk. Yeah. Just fucking do it. Like, what are you talking about?
Sounds like a Mike Ketchum quote.
Oh, there's a reason we get along.
That's right. That's right. Well, I look at it this way. I'm like, if I can do this, then fucking anybody can do this. Yep. Trust me, I am fucking not smart. Trust me, I am dumb.
Remember, so, I didn't go to college.
Exactly.
Best part of the whole podcast.
Never went to college, baby.
All right.
So before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners? Anything else you want to touch on?
I mean, the only thing I want to touch on is honestly, like, and I just said it, like, just go in on yourself and do what you want to do. Don't listen to anybody else. Like, listen, some of the biggest naysayers are going to be the people that are even closest to you. Like, there's going to be parents that are going to try and hold you back, that are going to try and tell you to be safe. Why do you want to get into real estate? You should just go get this job and get your 401k and stay safe and do this. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Let's face it. We're just not. And that's okay. Right. But like, if you have a passion and you want to go do it, don't let anybody else stand in your way. Follow your heart, go after what you want, because you can do it. There's a reason why you were born. There's a reason why you're already a miracle. Start acting like one.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Jack, where can people learn more about Tell Us Why?
We can go to the telluswhypodcast.com. All the links are in the description below. Quick announcement, next week, end of next week's episode, Mike and I we're just got something dropping. It's a pretty big deal. Yes. So I wanted to throw that out there in reference to the website. If you go there this week, you can probably see it, but you got to look for it. So,
cool. Awesome.
But you can already follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. go there and do so now.
Yes, Spotify, iTunes. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. Jack, quote of the week.
Quote of the week: real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care is about the safest investment in the world. That's a Franklin D. Roosevelt.
And you were due for a screw up.
I know. I thought we had a pretty good episode.
Oh my God. All right.
That's awesome. That's
Take us
awesome.
out of here.
All right, that is it for today. Be sure to join us for next week's episode. And until next week,
Bet on yourself.